and I don't want to volunteer the commissioners, but I think I can volunteer the commissioners based on our prior voting records. If there is anything we can do to assist you with some of the cities that we represent, I think all of us would be happy to do that, because first of all, it's important from a budget perspective. Secondly, it's important from a human capital perspective. We gain nothing by warehousing people instead of providing rehabilitation and jobs for them. So in closing, on both that and in general, I wanted to wait for the questions to be concluded to officially pronounce this a love fest, but based upon your budget and the questions, I can now declare it to be one. So thank you, and I think you've heard the general strong tone of support for this budget and the things you're doing from the commission. Are there any remaining questions before we let the sheriff go? If not, thank you for being here today, Sheriff.
Sir, thank you very much. And I'd like to close with just one add-up or comment. And this is more of a love fest for me to the county commission for something you just did recently with speaking on behalf and for the residents of Broward County as it relates to the concern we all have with the distribution of food here for our community. I've talked a little bit early on about the great work that's been done in partnership with the Broward Sheriff's Office, working with Feeding South Florida, executing over 600 distribution sites, and helping push out over 12 million pounds of food for our residents. And I was proud to see you all take a stand and make a unified effort to recognize that we can't afford to have any slowing down of this process. There are still people out there that are hungry, and these are the people who put us in office, and so we have to fight for them. And I was proud to see what you all stood for. So thank you.
Sheriff, while you're on the phone, let me address that issue briefly. I've had discussions, emails, texts with Commissioner Freed, and she has advised me and told me that I could publicly state this, that she will next week, when she's in Tallahassee, be reconvening a group where she will be personally reviewing the scoring, because I advised her that there were at least 3 scoring mistakes that I believe were clear. Number one, I've spoken with the attorney for Feeding South Florida, who gave me the list of vehicles. The Feeding South Florida has roughly, I forget the exact number, but between 50 and 60 trucks in the 4-county area, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, and Monroe. The other proposed vendor, which I won't identify, although we all know who they are, had also approximately 55 or 60, but there were 2 problems. Number one, that was statewide, including South Florida, Central Florida, and North Florida, and the overwhelming majority of those, they had 10 tractors, which are the things that pull the trailers, 15 trailers. Well, that means you could only have 10 trucks at a time, but they counted them as 25 trucks. Well, it's really 10, and then they both had some box trucks. The majority of their vehicles were pickup trucks and vans, as opposed to, to tractor trailers or box trucks, which was what Feeding South Florida had. That was the first mistake. The second mistake was that if you looked at the numbers, there were, I believe it was a 6-person selection committee, though it might have been 5. At least 3 of the members, they submitted, Feeding South Florida submitted 1 copy to Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, FDACS. FDACS made copies and distributed them, and 3 or 4 of the selection committee found it and gave them an excellent rating. The other 2 said it wasn't in the package, so they gave them a 0. Well, if FDACS was the one making the copies, it's not possible that Feeding South Florida could have omitted that if 3 or 4 of the selection committee members found it and 2 didn't. So that clearly was a mistake. And there was a third mistake, which involved, and this one has been related to me. I haven't seen it myself, so I'm just saying it's been related to me that Feeding, in one category, Feeding South Florida got all excellence, while their other vendor got a mixture of excellent and good, and maybe there might have been a so-so, or you're really kidding me, or whatever they were grading on. But despite the clear disparity, Feeding South Florida got less points, even though they had straight excellence, than the other team did, which had lower grades, which clearly was another math error, or they mixed the two up. So Commissioner Freed has assured me that she will personally be reviewing this early next week. So I just want to tell you that. Sheriff?
No, sir. Thank you for an outstanding overview about what's going on. The community needs to hear these realities and these facts. I would just close out with saying this: the Broward Sheriff's Office, we're prepared to do another 5,000 distributions. But we're going to need a partner that can actually sustain it and help us and do it the right way. So thank you for following up, and I'll stay in touch with you as we move forward.
Very good. You have Ms. L, Sheriff. Commissioner Holness, you're recognized, sir.
Thanks. I just want to let you and the sheriff know that I did talk to Commissioner Freed also on Sunday, and she told me she would take a look again. I'm glad you had that extensive conversation. Mine might not have been as specific as yours with the different items, but I clearly let her understood that the capacity and the capability that Feeding South Florida has is unmatched, and it's not fair to the people of South Florida not to continue the work that Feeding South Florida is doing for people.